You've probably heard about Yorgos Lanthimos' The Favourite, Céline Sciamma's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, as well as the TV series Babylon Berlin or the streaming platform Mubi. But do you know what they all have in common? The answer is that each of these audiovisual projects were supported by Creative Europe, a program which has been crucial for promoting Europe's cultural diversity and its creative sectors. With a budget of €2.4 billion, the brand new Creative Europe 2021-27 program provides more support and funding than ever, while maintaining its original three-strand structure: media, culture, and cross-sectoral. The media strand, which supports the European audiovisual sector, had an increase of more than €1 billion to its budget. The goal is to better prepare the sector for fundamental societal challenges, ensuring diversity and inclusion in a world getting ready for the green transition. The media strand supports projects with a European and international dimension, while fostering talents and reinforcing the use of new technologies. This new program will enhance cooperation and flexibility throughout the audiovisual sector over 4 main clusters. Content reflects values and diversity. It encourages collaboration and innovation to produce high-quality European projects, reinforcing the capability of independent producers to retain their rights and to exploit them globally. Another goal of the program is to promote business and the competitiveness of the European audiovisual, strengthening its position among global competitors, developing talents and skills, as well as facilitating access to markets and networks for both newcomers and established companies. To increase audiences throughout all distribution channels and platforms is also an objective, broadening the accessibility and visibility of European projects with special attention given toward reaching a younger public. Lastly, the program ensures a common European approach to audiovisual policy issues, supporting innovative actions, exchanging best practices through data gathering, constant communication, advocacy, and engagement with both the industry and the common citizen. As such, Creative Europe's 2021-27 program strives to reach new markets and audiences, to enrich its cultural diversity, and to address societal issues like the green and digital transitions. All of this means hard work, but opportunities are flowering. How can agents, producers, and industry members take advantage of Creative Europe? What are its main guidelines of action? And how can you use this massive tool to help you create the next great film, TV series, or video game?
Hello everybody, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us in this session about the Creative Europe. My name is Susana Costa Pereira, and I work with the Creative Europe desk in Portugal. And with me are my wonderful colleagues Martina Petrovic from Croatia and Silvia Sandrone from Italy, from the Torino office. Why are we here? Well, we're the desks. The Creative Europe has desks in every country to assist you and to promote the program and to assist you throughout this sea of possibilities and challenges. And that's what we are trying to do here. We will, and this is our first advice, actually. Our first advice is wherever you are, contact a desk. They will be able to help you for sure. If you Google Creative Europe desks, you'll find the link. What do you want with this? What our objectives with this session is to give you an overview of the support from Creative Europe to production, or to producers, better said. We are not going to focus so much on percentages and the technical information that you can find on the guidelines, but we want to give you some advice, and that's why we also urge you to ask us questions after each presentation, so that we can engage in a conversation as much as the Q&A enables us. So please use the Q&A for any questions that you may have. Besides and before focusing in the production support or the support to producers, I also want to give you an overview of other ways to benefit from the program. So Creative Europe is much more than their financing schemes. And sometimes there are things that you're just overlooking, and maybe we will help you to keep an eye open for all these opportunities. So I will give you the overview of the program, and then my colleague Silvia Sandrone will talk about the co-development scheme. Martina will then talk about the slate funding, the slate and the mini slate funding, one of the good novelties of this program. And then I will come back to you to talk about the TV and online support to production. So with no further ado, I will try to share my screen. So Creative Europe, what is it? It's the only program of the European Union which supports exclusively the cultural and creative sectors. And this may seem not much, but it is a lot. It means that the program gives an overview on the entire sector, the entire value chain of the sector. So, and that it tries to get towards what the sector actually needs and accompanying these changes, because the program takes 7 years, and 7 years in an industry like this is an eternity, so it cannot stay fixed. So this is really the first thing that it's good about the Creative Europe, is that it is a program specifically for this sector. How does it work? So Creative Europe, as you saw in the video, is organized in 3 strands. The media strand, which will be our focus today, the culture strands that is directed to all the artistic and creative expressions, and the cross-sectoral strand, which is a good novelty because it brings at least one action that can also be interesting to you. So that's the Creative Innovation Lab scheme, and also comprises initiatives like the CCS Guarantee Facility, which I want to talk to you a little bit more. And it's the first way to maybe can benefit from the program besides the financing schemes. So each of these strands will carry then a bunch of grants. So the financial schemes that will give you the grants. Also, the Creative Europe comprises some prizes and initiatives like the European Capitals of Culture that I'm sure you've heard about, but also the initiatives it takes on the media stands, and the support it gives to European film promotion. So all this indirectly supporting your activity. Regarding the Creative Guarantee Facility, what is this? So taking notion that the sector has a lot of difficulty accessing the bank loans, so the Creative Europe, in collaboration with the European Investment Fund, created this guarantee facility that will continue throughout this program, even if now it's managed by the program Invest EU. So this was to enhance or to foster the creation of loans specifically directed to the creative sector. So banks or other financial institutions could address the program, and the program of the European Investment Fund, so to create these loans for the creative sector. They were given a guarantee facility, so they were given the possibility of mitigating their risk by 70%. This has taken a lot of good things happening. A lot of people have been able to benefit from these loans. In Portugal, for instance, there are 2 banks, and I'll give you just an overview very quickly of what's going on so far regarding this guarantee facility. All the countries that already have banks under this guarantee facility. You will have then the link to address. You can have this presentation afterwards, so check it out. What's next? Next, not to overlook, Media Invest, all in this direction also, an equity financial fund that blends funds from the Creative Europe Media, the Invest EU program, and private investment. And it's being set It's being put into place, and it will be directed to audiovisual productions and distribution strategy. So we don't have much more information, but you can follow the progress of what's going on with this and keep an eye open for what's going on with this. And also there's a link to it. Third advice, very important advice, check funded projects for opportunities. You know, when the Creative Europe supports, you all know Europa Cinema. So Europa Cinema is funded by Creative Europe, and then exhibitors can benefit from that support. But there's also other possibilities, like, for instance, the 366 projects that were financed in the training actions. You can access the training actions from these organizations, and there are scholarships involved if you are part of a low capacity country, or if in your country there is no training sessions and no means to get financing for attending training sessions. So check it out. And also you have, for instance, the projects that are selected under the promotion of European works online. That means there's a lot, quite a substantial amount of, for instance, VOD platforms that, because they are financed by Creative Europe, they must have a percentage of European audiovisual works. So maybe this could be a good way to start looking for possible distribution. Just a few tips before we get to the media strand. Okay, so the media strand, some preliminary information. It regards cinema, TV, VODs, video games, immersive content. It's a co-financing model. So Creative Europe is a co-financing model. It doesn't support 100% of the cost of the project. So you need to make sure that you have the percentages that it's under your responsibility. Also, be aware that it's no quota per country. So it's direct competition between projects, and so there's no quota for specific countries. It also looks at projects with a high potential for transnational circulation. We'll talk a little bit about this later on. And also MediaStrand has a sectoral approach. The financing schemes go throughout the entire value of chain, so starting in training and ending in exhibition, with everything in between. So my second advice, or third advice before I pass the word to my colleagues, MediaStrand has two major goals. In spite, or besides everything that you will read in the guidelines and the call documents, as they are called now, you must bear in mind this. Two major goals are transversal to every scheme on Creative Europe Media. The first one is to increase the transnational circulation of European works, and the second one to enhance the audiences for European works. So every little scheme has these two major goals underneath. And when you're preparing an application, make sure everything that you say, everything that you do will have this end goal. So financing schemes, talents and skills, the previous media training, enhance the capacity of the audiovisual sector so that they can increase circulation of their works. They have the skills to do it and increase audiences. So people applying, organizations applying to talents and skills need to take this into consideration when they are writing their application. The support to producers, as you will see, is all directed at these two major goals. Distribution of non-national films. So that's why the media supports the distribution of non-national films to enhance the circulation, the support to VOD operators and networks, the support to markets and networking, also cinema festivals, innovation tools and business models, the support to Europa Cinemas, or to cinema networks, and the audience development and film education. All these schemes, as I was saying, have those two goals underneath. And now I will stop my presentation, and we will start entering the focus of our session with my colleague Silvia Sandrone and the European Co-Development Scheme. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about the new code, European Co-Development for producers. And yeah, it was a bit challenging because I tried to squeeze all the information of the guidelines in these 10 slides, because yeah, we decided to have, in fact, a short presentation and then to open a discussion where we could maybe give you hopefully some tips and recommendation for successful application. This call for proposal has been launched with the objective to reinforce the European added value for supporting the development of individual projects. And in particular, the European Union wants to support the cooperation among European production companies that are working on audiovisual works with a strong international audience potential, as Susana has just said. The international appeal is really very important, as it was in the past. And you can apply for the development of a single animation, creative documentary, or fiction, so any category of works. But the idea is to choose, if you have more projects you are working on, to choose the project that has a high creative value and cultural diversity, with a high potential to travel, and of course intended for commercial exploitation, cinema release, TV broadcasting, or also digital multi-platform. These are the main aspects, the main elements. The deadline is on the 17th of November this year, 2021, and the budget is of a budget of 5 million. The project can last up to 30 months, and you can apply for a maximum EU grant per coordinator of 60,000 euros, with a 50% of co-financing rate. In case of TV series, you can apply for 100,000 if you have a bigger production budget. The main eligibility requirements are that the project has to be co-developed by minimum 2 European independent audiovisual production companies that need to have signed a co-development agreement, where they have to specify the tasks and the concrete collaboration on creative aspects. But who are the eligible applicants? So, as it was in the past, this call for proposal is targeted to audiovisual production companies, independent and European. So they need to be based in Europe. And the minimum is a consortium composed of 2 entities based in at least 2 different media countries. This is the minimum, but of course you can have also more than the project leader and another eligible partner. If you are a project leader for the single project, for the European co-development, you can also apply as a partner in sorry, if you are a coordinator, as we will see after with with Martina for either for Slate or Mini Slate, you can be partner in co-development. Yeah, here you have the main eligible criteria. Of course, media was born 30 years ago with the main objective to reinforce the audiovisual industry. So it's not exactly for newcomers, and in this case, applicant must demonstrate that they have already produced a previous work since 2014 that has already been distributed before the deadline, before the submission. It can be any animation, fiction, or creative documentary work of minimum 24 minutes. Yes, you have to demonstrate that, you have to prove that it has already been distributed in at least 3 countries other than your own country. For the commercial nature, the commercial distribution is, for instance, distribution on a TV channel or in a cinema, or also on a VOD platform. And it's also important to underline that the company was or the sole production company, or in case of co-production, the major co-producer in the financing plan, or the delegate producer. There is also another possibility, a third option, which is to show a personal online credit as on-screen credit, sorry, as producer or delegate producer. So this can be regards only shareholders of the companies or the legal representative. So we already said that this kind of support is for any kind of work, except for short films that can, as we will see later on, can apply in be part of a slate, but not in European co-development. And here you have the minimum duration, which is required. And another important element, another important eligibility criteria regarding the works is that the first day of principal photography can't happen before 10 months after the deadline. So this is it's not easy to, in fact, to find the right project at the right moment. So it's true that my first tip would be to really to find a project in the golden moment, a project which is not in too early development, but also not already too developed. Regarding the rights, you need to demonstrate, the coordinator or one of the partners in the European co-development agreement, that you own the majority of the rights of the projects that you want to develop. So of course you need to have a signed contract, and with the sharing of rights, and also in case of 50%, this would be accepted and considered as majority. It's also important to demonstrate that you have stable and sufficient resources to implement the project, and also the operational capacity, so the know-how, the qualifications, and resources to implement the project. Here you have the 4 main award criteria with points, and as I said before, we can discuss maybe later and enter into the details of each of that, just to give you more tips on how to build your dossier, your application. The most important thing is to really to think and to strategize and to have really an overall structure before applying. So you have the relevance, which is the of the project in relation to the course objective, the quality of content and activities. And again, it's really important to present a project that has the potential to reach audiences at European and international level, and also to demonstrate that you are sharing equally with your partner the roles and responsibilities in the project. You also need to show a good and realistic development and financing strategy. And also the dissemination is really important, and it consists of in the marketing strategy and also in having and presenting a European and international distribution plan. In order to receive the grant, you should reach at least the minimum threshold of 70 points. This is, I think, my last slide, and it regards how to apply, because we have now a new portal, the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. And well, I don't want to give you so many details now and all this technical information. We can maybe, if you are interested, discuss it later. But it's really important to pay attention to this new structure, which is composed of work packages and deliverables, which are crucial elements in order to obtain the EU grant. In this call for proposal, you can have 4 work packages and even more with, for instance, project management and common activities, the coordinator development activities, the activities carried out by the partner 1 and eventually by partner 2 or more if is the case. Yeah, now I give the floor to Martina, and I will be there to later on to discuss you some more details. Thank you.
Maybe, sorry, Martina. Maybe Silvia, we already have one question here, 2 questions.
Oh, okay, fine.
Address. There's one directly linked to the co-development. Mariana Teixeira asks if there are any categories to submit with series. So, and it is possible in co-development, right, Silvia?
Yeah, it's absolutely possible, because it's a call for proposal which is open both to one-off or series and any genre, so animation series, creative documentary series, or fiction series. And we have to say that European series are really encouraged by European Union and by the media program. So, of course, if you have, for instance, a drama TV series, yeah, this would really be a very, good application. Yeah.
Martina, would you please
take the floor?
Slate and mini slate. Thank you.
Welcome everyone also on my behalf. I know that we are at very busy times, and it's good actually that Susana initiated our get together, and especially during the fest, since it's focusing on new directors and new emerging talent as well. When it comes to mini slate and slate, I would say that there is something that remains the same, that is going to remain the same, and that there is something that is going to be new for us, especially for low visual capacity countries. And I've been running Media Desk for already 13 years, and this is the third program that I'm kind of covering up. So every program has some kind of specialties. So let's see what is going to be introduced in the new mini slate and slate. So this is how I see a mini slate and slate. So let's start sharing the screen. What I wanted to highlight is that regarding the all calls and what is new, and especially in the content cluster, is a new type of registration that everybody needs to kind of look at and get trained soon, because we as desks experience that. And it's not an easy registration. So I kind of advise you to do it as soon as possible in terms of your companies, to look at the applications and similar. The second point is that there is an introduction, what has been already introduced in the previous program, but now it's kept throughout the all calls, and it's lump sum. So you cannot get a minimum nor maximum. You have a specific lump sum per concretely a genre, per call, and similar. And we already mentioned this just now. So it's the threshold. So basically throughout all the calls, you will need to receive 70 points out of 100. This is something that remains more or less the same, and it's implied for co-development, mini slate, and TV and online. So basically, all companies need to be independent, which means that they should not have majority control by TV broadcaster, either in shareholder or in commercial terms. The company needs to be European, which means that it needs to come from the media participating country. And if shared, owned, majority of shareholders, they need to be nationals of coming from the media participating countries. At the moment, there are 35 of media participating countries. It needs to be audiovisual production company. This is what I was always highlighting to Croatian applicants, because what usually happens is, okay, you need to upload your registration form at the commercial court, it's called in Croatia, but sometimes the sentence that the company is also responsible for the audiovisual production is missing. So basically, company is developing film projects, developing video games and similar, but production, audiovisual production can sometimes be missing. So this is something that it needs to be really clearly stated in your registration form as a company. When it comes to the mini slate and slate, a good thing is that the company doesn't need to exist for 36 months in terms of the legal existence, which means this is a bit kind of flexible, and referring to already question being asked how Creative Europe or Europe in general has helped the audiovisual industry. So this is one small point and one good thing that they did, because this was also difficult to achieve. So I'm again speaking from the point of view of the Croatian film professional. In eligible projects, this is a slide that I always like to highlight. We had a question regarding the TV series, but sometimes I was approached by producers who were willing to apply for TV games, TV shows, ecological shows, TV reportage, cooking shows and similar. And I always needed to highlight that this is not eligible, because media has a specific requirement that it needs to be creative, it needs to travel, as Susana and Silvia already mentioned, it needs to have this transnational appeal. And all those things listed under ineligible projects are recommended to read and to advise your media desks, because if you're applying something that is not ineligible, your application is ineligible. Now coming to production capacity countries. there is a change. So Europe likes to divide us into our audiovisual capacity. And this depends not only according to our territory, small language or language, but also our sources of financing. And so in this period, we are continuing without the UK in the high audiovisual production capacity category. So now we have France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. Medium audiovisual production capacity will continue without Poland, because Poland is moving to low audiovisual production capacity into the group A, where Croatia and Portugal will belong to. So which means that in the low audiovisual production capacity, we will have two groupings. And the group A, I would refer to as a high capacity in comparison to the group B. And basically those were the countries that were quite successful in terms of withdrawing the money from the media. For this reason, and thanks to our success stories, we were divided and concretely put into the group A. In the group B, and there is a newcomer, and it used to be part of the media program, and now it's back again, Liechtenstein. And all the rest of the countries that are non-European countries like Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, North Macedonia, Montenegro, and similar are going to be part of the group B once all these agreements are signed. You will understand why I'm highlighting the difference between the different capacity countries, because this is also needed to understand for the mini slate and slate. So mini slate and slate, I would say, give certain security and in a way flexibility to production companies, giving them enough time to develop more than one project at the same time. And in this way, they're also able to, as the slide says, to scale up, to diversify, innovate, and solidify their position in the market to be more competitive, because mini slate and slate focuses on the company itself, checking out how the company can develop and produce in parallel different projects. So when it comes to the objectives, they're more or less clear. As I mentioned, we are encouraging enhancing competitiveness. We also boost circulation throughout the EU and beyond. We also highlight international co-production. The more you co-produce with unusual suspects, the more points you will receive in the award criteria. And it also gives a possibility to help emerging young film professionals to develop and direct their short film. And this is the only way where we can actually boost young filmmakers and somehow their talents through the slate funding scheme, because usually, and you will see also in the guidelines, media does not support shorts. When it comes to the funding activities, so basically more or less it's the same. So the more creative, the more culturally diverse, and the more cross-border highlight you have, and above all, if all the projects are intended for commercial exploitation, in sense cinema release, TV broadcasting, or more and more digital. Optional it is, and I would say it is optional, but I would definitely encourage producers to invite young filmmakers so that they apply jointly. So optional it is a development and production of a short film by an emerging director. In Croatia, just to give you a hint, I was surprised that Croatian producers were not so eager to include a short, because they were more concentrated on their projects per se, but in this programming period, I would definitely encourage to do so because they can also get extra funding for the short. All those 5 points you are encouraged to do because all these actually bring additional points in your award criteria. So basically, marketing and distribution strategies, cooperation, strengthening your competitiveness, expanding your activities, this is all the same. But now you will need to also make sure and include 2 cross-cutting priorities regarding sustainability, environment, and of course, diversity and inclusion. So how we did it in Croatia. In Croatia, in the period from 2014 to 2020, we had 7 slates. Croatia, as a small country, they were trying, the filmmakers and film producers were trying to, how do you say, match, which means those who did not have could not meet the eligibility criteria would apply through different company. And in this way, they would share the rights, the projects, and the film crews as well. Now I'm a bit skeptical because, as you can see also from my slides, the applications only applied by only applications by single or mono beneficiary are going to be accepted. Only one application as applicant can be a coordinator, what Silvia already mentioned. But if you received your slate, for example, last year or 12 months prior to the deadline, then unfortunately you cannot apply neither to mini slate or slate funding because this grant is still ongoing. I don't know if you have questions, but I will continue. Again, what also Silvia mentioned for the co-development, for media, you definitely need to have experience, professional experience. And especially for this mini slate and slate, it needs to be international. So I will go into details, but to give you hints, you will need to prove that you produced already 1 audiovisual work or 2 audiovisual works since 2014. So the breakdown of the years is going to be number 7. So as we have calls coming, so next year it will be 2015, then the following year it will be 2016. So in the period of 7 years, you need to prove that you produced 1 audiovisual or 2 audiovisual works in such order, so animation, fiction, or creative documentary, or one-off or series of a minimum duration of 24 minutes. And that you also commercially distributed the same work in cinema, TV, or digital platforms, and non-nationally. And of course, no festival selection is going to be accepted. I will go to the next slide to be more clear. So when it comes to the short film, basically they're targeting the director who is just graduating or just finishing up his film studies, and of course is seeking some guidance and the backup from a very experienced production company. What is important is that even if the short film is not eligible, still the whole package of mini slate or slate is going to be accepted and eligible. Now let's compare slate and mini slate. So slate, it used to be slate funding, and now you need to apply with a minimum of 3, maximum to 5 film projects. Optional is short. When it comes to the mini slate, only being reserved to the low audiovisual capacity countries, you can apply with a minimum of 2 up to 3 film projects. Optional again is short. So slate is open to all media countries. Mini slate is limited to low audiovisual capacity, both groupings. It doesn't mean that, of course, if somebody coming from Portugal or Croatia wishes to apply to the slate, this is fine, but they need to be aware that the priority is given to the medium and high capacity countries, because guys, you have your own mini slate to apply with. For the mini slate, they will ask to prove that you produced, as I mentioned, one audiovisual work in the period of 7 years prior to the deadline, where for the slate, you will need to prove 2 previous works. You see the difference also in terms of the money. The deadline, the first one, is very soon coming, and it's the 12th of August. And I'm sad to see that that there is a difference in terms of the money being allocated, and I hope that in future I'm not asking to be equal with the money provided in the slate, but 4 million for 21 countries, it's not a lot. I see questions popping out. Should I maybe stop and answer, or if you can just help me maybe read, just to let me know, or if I can continue till the end.
No, Martina, maybe, yeah, we have a question that is, how can independent producers better make use of this Creative Europe program? I think that we will be answering this throughout the entire presentation. This is how you can actually make it, and then I will talk about it regarding TV production. But Martina, we are getting a little bit to the limit of the time.
Okay.
We wanted to give floor, and I still have to present the audiovisual. So maybe if we could speed it up a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So just a small kind of repetition. So going back to the first slide, there is the lump sum per project per genre. And then if total of those lump sums, you will get the amount, and this amount is going to, how shall I say, this is going to be a requested funding, but be aware that media cannot go more than 50% of the total financing. As Susana mentioned, is the co-financing scheme. Pre-financing, it's important also to know that once everything is done in order, then 70% of the financing will be given to the applicant. What it means to have lump sum per genre, it depends on your estimated budget. So basically the numbers are there. I will not go into details, and small remark, for the short film you can receive 10,000 euros, and I'm done.
I have a big, long question here.
Okay. Oh my God. So Creative Europe supports art film streaming platforms such as Movie or Cinetech, which make art films from all over Europe available to viewers. Okay. I agree that the subtitling on such platforms is very uneven. How shall we do it? Could organize that?
Well, there is actually a support for VOD networks and operators that could include as an eligible, but it is not included. And yes, we, as Martina said, we appreciate this question. Is really an issue that the program should address. And well, it's not that like we can decide anything, but we can for sure give the feedback of this worry to the Commission and to the agency, especially the Commission. Regarding We've heard now Martina and Silvia talk about co-development and the slate development, and there are some common parts that you may have figured out, like the enhancement of partnerships. Since all the media strand has been reinforced with this issue of collaboration and acting in partnerships, and also to answer the question about how can a TV producer get in this Creative Europe. We are as desks promoting also some actions regarding matchmaking of producers, and we will have our first one in September, right, Silvia? On documentary, we will so heads up, we will be organizing this, and maybe you can profit from these possibilities. But besides partnerships, also the greening issue, it's transversal, and be aware that it has it comes with it, as far as the media is concerned, it comes with points. So you will have there will be the strategy for the greening, the sustainable strategy, and a strategy for gender balance and diversity, but in media very much stress the gender balance. So be aware that you need to present a strategy for this. And now I will see that I will restart my presentation now, heading for support to TV and online, and you'll see that they are here as well. Okay, so support to TV and online. The objectives of this call, you'll see that in the objectives are not just something that you read transversally and get straight to the eligibility criteria. It's something that it comprises what you should be addressing in your project, making sure that your project goes in this direction. So one of the first novelty about this scheme is that it comprises also online, not only the traditional TV broadcasters, but also the VOD platforms, and which is of course an organic evolution from what happened from the past, and of course that is been pushed through this pandemic constraints. And what are the objectives? Supporting high quality programming, so high quality audiovisual works, supporting innovation in content, but also innovation in financing. This is what the support to TV are looking for. And this innovation in financing has a clear link to the distribution strategy. So the focus will be much more on the quality of the distributors and the quality of the distribution strategy rather than the marketing. This is the first head up that especially people who are already applied to this call, you need to shift a little bit your attention and reread. Make sure that you reread the call document very carefully, because there are some nuances that actually not as much as a nuance that will make a huge impact on your application evaluation. Okay, so objectives: increase the capacity of the audiovisual producers to develop strong projects with the potential to circulate. Facilitate European and international co-production. The objective is to facilitate the international co-production. The expected impact is to increase the international co-production. So these things come together. Objectives come together with the expected impact of the call. So the expected impact of your project. So objectives, expected impact of the call, in expected impact of your project. So you must write your application, making sure that you demonstrate that you go towards these principles. Of course, this is always also be translated in the award criteria. So all these things come together. Don't read just the application and check the eligibility criteria. Of course, without those, you will not be even assessed. So make sure, of course, that you check all the eligibility criteria, but also if you really want to have a success chance, make sure that your project answers the objectives, the expected impact, and the award criteria. So the third objective, unexpected impact, to enhance collaboration between operators from different media countries. And as you will see from this presentation, and as my colleagues have already stressed out, even if it's not mandatory to have co-production, the truth is that in the evaluation criteria, in the objectives, you will always find things like enhance the collaboration from different media countries. So as Martina was saying, of course, you have the mini slate, and the mini slate is just for low capacity countries professionals. But in the slate, the goal is also to mix match high capacity countries with low capacity countries. So when you have a specific wording in the call document regarding this, so make sure that you cover this aspects if they are fundamental. Some practicalities regarding the timetable, not very far away, 25th of August, over a month. The results will be in February, and the budget is, as you can see, and the duration of the projects can come from 24 to 36 months in case of a series. An extension is always possible, but has to be justified and asked for an amendment. Who is eligible? Again, as my colleague said, to this support to producers. Only independent or European audiovisual production companies can apply. And be careful, because it's not only demanded that you are legally established in one of the countries participating in the media, but also the owner has to be national or living in countries participating in media. Okay, to this call are eligible single applicants or in consortium, in co-production. And as I said, and you will see, the consortium, the co-production is, I wouldn't even say, I will go further than Martina, what Martina said. Martina said, highly advised, I'd say, please do so. You won't get a chance. Before, this was not as reinforced, and 80%, 85% of the selected projects were in somehow co-production. So from now on, this is really, really paramount. If you go in a co-production, make sure that the coordinator, one of you will be the coordinator, it will be the major producer of the works in terms of rights, and you can have a 50-50 division, but in that case, the coordinator must be the delegate producer. Okay, to answer again one of the questions that we had. This is eligible for both one-off or series, and the exact same genres that my colleagues have talked about, so drama, animation, and creative documentary with a minimum length. So, to this call, to TV and online production, we're not longer talking about development, we are talking about production. Works, audiovisual works applying to this call need to be intended primarily for TV or online exploitation. And this you need to demonstrate in the application. If by any chance the evaluators perceive or assume that you're actually trying to produce a film for theatrical release and are applying to this scheme, of course, you won't be selected. You also have to make sure that this is, Creative Europe is the program of the European Union. So, of course, it focuses on the European countries or the European countries participating in the media program. So one of the things you have to make sure when presenting, when working on an audiovisual work, especially if you're co-producing, you need to make sure that a significant participation of professionals have to be national or residents of media countries. You will have the schematics with saying what professionals are we talking about in the different genres, and so that you can follow that lead. Also make sure that the first day of principal photography has to be after the date of the publication of the call. And this is something different from the past, that it was on the day of the submission, but not to uniformize and not to have any difficulties in the administrative process of accessing your applications. So after the publication of the call. So in this case, after the 3rd of June. Another heads up. As I said before, you can apply as a one-off or a series. But if you're applying as a series, you need to must submit as a series. You cannot split the different episodes of a series and present more than one application, because you can. There's nothing in the call that says that you can only present one application. You can present more than one application. Very, very important is the involvement of the broadcasting. This is an eligibility criteria also. For this call, you need to have a minimum of 2 broadcasters, linear or non-linear, so TV traditional or VOD platforms involved, and with contracts or with binding letters of commitment, but make sure it is binding, and we can then help you, and in the call document is described what is considered a binding LOC. So it's to production, but also bringing you back to what I said in the beginning, the goal is to increase circulation. The goal is to make sure that the work will be produced and won't stay put, will circulate. So a minimum of 2 broadcasters from 2 media countries have to be part of the application dossier. These broadcasters can also be co-producers, but they will only be considered a valid co-producer if the financial investment is higher than the average investment of the other partners. And if the broadcaster is actually involved in organization and economic handling, not just giving you money. It would be so nice to just give you money. No, so now not only the financial participation, but also the organization and economical handling. This is important, because then it is connected with the ownership of the rights and the licensing. So if the broadcaster has, because one of the objectives also is to guarantee that the one thing that producers have that is no risk, which is intellectual property. This, as I think, is a major issue right now. Is the major issue right now is the intellectual property. So it's to make sure that you keep that as much as possible. So the licensing for the broadcasters cannot be higher than 7 years. If the broadcaster is actually co-producer, it can go up to 10 years. So this is why it's important to understand what is a valid co-production as far as the broadcaster is concerned. Also, make sure that you have a minimum of financing guaranteed. So you don't need to have the entire amount of the percentage guaranteed when you apply, but you will need to show that 40% of the total estimated budget for production is already guaranteed. And there's the call explains what is comprised in this, what kind of financing is comprised within this minimum guaranteed. Be aware that producers' own investment will not be part of this 40%, and the media grant is not on this 40%. But you can see that, for instance, tax shelters are accepted if confirmed by supporting documents. And I'm sure, I mean, in Portugal, I know that they confirmed with the documents, so I'm sure that won't be a problem in other countries. Also, make sure that a minimum of the total estimated production budget needs to come from media participating countries. Regarding the financing, we have a customized lump sum. So this is a lump sum, as my colleague said, it will be a fixed amount, but in this particular case, in case of TV and online production, it will be established after a verified and approved detailed budget. So you need anyway to make sure that you have a detailed budget, and then on that detailed budget there will be 15% of co-financing rate. This is different from the last program that had differences between drama and documentary. For example, now it's 15% for every genre, but with maximum grant differences, and especially regarding drama, it depends on the eligible production budget. So it can come 300,000 to documentaries, 500,000 to animation, and drama, it depends on the estimated budget, can go up to 2 million euros. Now, regarding the evaluation criteria, as you could see from my colleague's presentation, all the schemes from financing schemes from media now have these 4 award criteria. They are the same in every scheme. What changes is the punctuation, the value that each feature has, depending on the nature of the call. So just to an heads up that this raises a lot of questions, because the other program, the culture strand, already had this for the last 7 years, and the question was the same. People would ask us about this relevance, but the project is relevant. Okay, of course the project is always relevant. The thing is it relevant to this call? And that is what is going to be assessed. So please make sure that you answer all the questions. Again, as I was saying in the beginning, make sure that you have fulfilled all the award criteria. Make sure that your project is aiming at the expected objectives and expected results of this particular call. And that is what relevance is. Of course, afterwards you will reassess the quality and content of content and activities. Is not just the artistic value, it has to do with the entire organization of the project. How will you work? What activities? Are they coherent? Are they relevant? Are they, do they show that you actually will be able to follow through this application? Again, the introduction of this overall threshold it was introduced also in the TV and online. This means that even if there are not enough applications, which never happens, but if your project doesn't get up to 70 points, it will not be financed. Okay, and now almost finished. Just to point out what I was saying before, that maybe the eligibility criteria doesn't say something, but then the award criteria sort of directs you to that point. And one of the examples, as I said before, is regarding co-production. It is not mandatory, but under the relevance criteria, for instance, you have European dimension of the financing of the project, 15 points, and you have European co-production, 5 points. 20 points is, even 5 points is a lot in this competition. This is highly competitive, so make sure that you fulfill all the criteria. And in this, regarding this co-production, that will give you 5 points just for existing. It will be assessed where this co-production takes place. So if it comes from different countries or not, the level of cooperation on the creative aspect. So not just a co-producer to sign up the work and saying, we are here. No, we have to show that they are actually co-producing. And also it will be evaluated if this cooperation is between different market sizes. So again, this LCC, low capacity countries, list of countries that my colleague Martina already pointed out, and all the others. So before we had low, medium, and high. Now we have low capacity countries divided in two groups, Group A and Group B, and all the other countries. So they are looking for this. They are looking for these connections. And another thing is regarding distribution strategy. Another heads up, I told you in the beginning that the focus has changed slightly, well, not slightly, but has changed from the marketing regarding the dissemination criteria as shifted from the marketing focus to the distribution strategy focus. So make sure that you can demonstrate that your distributor is the quality of the distributor involvement and the quality of the distribution strategy. You have 25 points here. It's immense. So the track record, the financial involvement, the risk taken by the distributor, but also the coherence, the relevance, and the advocacy of the distribution strategy. What I find is sometimes we have meetings and people describe this very well thought distribution strategy, but then in the application somehow it doesn't translate. So make sure that you start working with your distributor from the beginning. This is what the program is looking for. And if you can show that in your applications, even in the development schemes, as my colleagues said, being a development scheme, the strategy, the distribution strategy will be assessed and not in a just transversal way. So this is pretty much what I had to say regarding the audiovisual, the TV, and online content. This is what for me, when I looked at the call, this is what popped up.
Susana, if I may, I just wanted to give information regarding the last question that we had about subtitling, because in the business cluster, we also have a new call, which is innovative tools and business models, and it's one of the objectives of the call is also, for instance, to take care of the quality of subtitling, because it's supporting projects that help to give to encourage the visibility and the accessibility of the work. So this is really one of the priority of media. And I also just wanted to add something regarding the European co-development, since we had this great list from Martina on the big and big capacity countries and low capacity countries. Of course, maybe I forgot to mention during my presentation that there are not automatic points, but it's the co-production among countries of different market size is really encouraged. So in order also to apply with potential successful application, it would help a lot to have different market size countries. And also another important information is that these call for proposal that we presented to you today are, you can combine them, not SLATE, of course, and European co-development, because you have to, because they are all supporting the development phase. But in case you applied for a SLATE or for European co-development, then you later on you can also apply for the TV content online with the same project.
Thank you, Silvia. I see some other questions here. So Can universities be considered a partner? No, not for these specific financing schemes. As we said, the only eligible applicants are independent audiovisual producers, European independent audiovisual producers. However, there are other calls in media that universities can be considered partners, namely audience development, for instance. And film education. This is a possibility, but not on this one, no. And there are some applications of the past that can be used as an example. I mean, I don't know what my colleagues have to say about this. What I could say, and then I will give you also the floor, is that the program is an evolution. It's not a revolution. That's how it's being sold, even from by the Commission and the agency. So you could take a past application, but then you would have to look at it again through the eyes of the new call document and make sure that it fills all the criteria, and namely the greening strategy has to, and the gender balance and the diversity strategy have to be taken into account. So you need to make sure that also there's another question that my colleagues also focused, and I didn't talk about it in my presentation, but it's the same. Now the way that you have to organize the budget and the activities is different. So everything now is looked upon as work packages. And what are these work packages? Is basically you have to organize your project the way you already do it in your head, in big tasks, in a big package of tasks. Then we'll have to have a deliverable to prove that they were done. So yeah, that you could take, because the eligible genres are the same, and the minutes of the genres are the same, but then there are a lot of other things that you need to work out. I don't know if you, Silvia or Martina, you have anything to add regarding this question.
I will just quickly answer, if I may. This is a new period, and the rules through the application process are a bit different. So some things remain the same in terms of maybe the marketing distribution strategy, but now it's even more emphasis put on the collaboration, and the collaboration beyond your usual neighboring countries or similar. And for this reason, it's important that you follow up the work of the desk, of your local desk, because we are going really try to help you out, not only in terms of how to guide you through the whole process, but also to find potential partners for your projects. So this is something also new for us. Maybe Susana, you're more familiar when it comes to the culture sub-program, but for media desks is something that is going to be highlighted more.
Okay, thank you, Martina. There's another question here. Created and produced some content, and that I have aims to distribute this throughout social outlets such as IG, YouTube, TikTok. Apply to this with a distribution plan will be counted. So what the media is as eligibility criteria considers is commercial distribution. So you need to have proof that there's an income, there's a revenue associated with this distribution. That's why also participation in festivals is not considered, right? Martina, Silvia, would you like to add something regarding this?
Yeah, you're right. It needs to be a commercial distribution, and yeah. So yeah, for instance, a contract is not enough. You need to demonstrate that a distributor has that a TV channel or a cinema distributor has distributed the audiovisual or cinema work. Yeah.
But what is good to know, if I may add, if you have an online platform, then it doesn't matter the country of origin or the establishment, but if you have a contract with this specific platform for 2 or 3 different non-national countries, then this is accepted as 3 different territories when it comes to the content or how to say co-development and mini slate and slate. So this is something that is good to know. And you also need to be aware of the minimum of minutes for each genre. So even if something is online, it's accepted as one-off, but also as a total minutes of the series. Web series, online series are similar, but you need to be aware of the minutes as well for the previous work, but also for the one you are applying for.
Okay, so let me take that answer you gave, Martina, to enhance the differences between the development and the production for TV and online. And as Martina said, for the development, you only need to have distributed, and it doesn't matter which country or whatever, it just needs to be commercial. But in case of the TV and online, remember I said that you need to have 2 broadcasters involved in the application. So these broadcasters must be from country companies legally established in a media participate country. Okay, so you cannot either, and the question normally is, what about the big platforms that have channels in different countries? You have to sign a contract with an organization that is legally established in a media participant country. So beware of that. Okay. Let us see. If Russia is eligible as a co-producer. Well, Russia is not a media country, that participating country. That being said, it doesn't, I mean, it's not that you cannot have a co-producer from Russia or from Brazil or from any other country. It's not that. For the co-development that my colleague Silvia explained, it is mandatory co-production, and in this case, for those at least 2 producers must come from countries participating in media. If you then have other co-producers in mind and you want to broaden your strategy with other co-producers, this is not a problem. But to be able to be legible for the call, you need to guarantee that it's 2, at least 2 from media. And as far as the audiovisual is concerned, I mean, the television and online is concerned, the thing is, if you have a co-producer, you can choose either this co-producer will be a co-beneficiary or not co-beneficiary. So if the co-producer, you're willing them to be a co-beneficiary, that means that they will receive some financing also from media. They have to be from media participating countries, because the logic is European Commission cannot finance institutions or organizations that are not within the media countries, as we say. But it's not an impossibility. Only you have to make sure that in cases where co-production is mandatory, you need to make sure that our participants in the media countries. In cases where it's not mandatory, you can have a co-producer from any other, because the program says the objective is to enhance circulation in Europe and beyond. So of course you will broaden your strategy, your distribution strategy, if you have other even, I mean, if you have a co-production from producer from Russia, I can only imagine the potential market of the film. So I don't think this would be a problem for media. I don't know if my colleagues, but I'm sorry, dears, because since I'm the one reading the questions, my impetus is to give the first answer. But sorry for that, but I'm sure there will be some that I will not be able to do it. So it's it. But if you want to add or correct something that I maybe didn't explain correctly.
No, it's fine. You covered everything.
Yeah, we don't have anything to add. No, I mean the project won't be penalized, but it won't be part of this eligible budget story. So it can be additionally boosted and added, but not particularly for the media call per se when applying.
Okay.
How can independent producer better make use of this Creative Europe program? And this is a very good question, because it leads us to talk also about the networking and markets opportunities and training opportunities, because of course media is not only financial opportunities, and which is of course very important to for making your film, but it's also if maybe you are not eligible for because you are at the beginning of your career, you are an emerging producer, it's very important to have a look at all the other opportunities, like I think now we have almost or maybe 60 training activities funded by media for not only producers but all professionals of our sector of the audiovisual industry. And so it's really important to attend these courses to of course to have better skills and competencies, acquire new competencies, but also for networking. And it's a very interesting and useful opportunity to meet potential partners for your future projects, and to meet, of course, the decision makers in the industry.
Thank you so much, Silvia. I would like to address the first question that we had from Luana Balas. How was Creative Europe affected by the pandemic? What changed, and which changes do you think will still be benefits in the future?
I mean, when it comes to the calls, of course, following all the situation, everything happened quite late. And we are aware that it's not easy to apply right now, but at least some priorities and some flexibility has been introduced within the specific calls. And hopefully this will remain also in the next following years. And I know it's not easy to satisfy everybody, since now we have almost already 17 calls. But we are all really trying and to open up the possibilities, and we encourage you definitely to apply, because once you fulfill the eligibility criteria, then you're already on the road to receive the media funding. It is competitive, but you will not know unless you try it. So give it a try.
I would like to add that we didn't mention this, but a good amount of the budget of the program will be used in the first 2 years of the program. So before in the previous program, we had a fluctuation, like we started high and then going low and then a bit increased. But in this case, during this period, regarding because of the pandemic, and to try to soften the problems and the constraints of the pandemic, I think virtually a third of the budget will be used in the first 2 years. So this is hard, as Martina said, because everything's new and people are trying to apply for the first time. But make sure that you don't leave it to the end, because there's more money now in the beginning. Also, how did it address? Also, the overall budget has increased from 1.4 billion to 2.5 billion, so as to also to make sure all the calls were then a little bit tailored to accommodate some of the constraints, for instance, in co-development and development, the works to prove that you already produced the work. It used to be like 1 or 2 years before the deadline of the call, and now goes back to 2014, and the distribution. To prove that you already distribute, you can distribute it until the deadline, the date of the deadline of the call. But before it was the constraint was, it was even more difficult to fulfill this this obligation. Also, there was. And the program also addressed the pandemic in as far as the exhibition is concerned, because they were the ones that were, they couldn't do absolutely anything, so producers could develop, if not produce, but the exhibitors couldn't do anything. So it was the only budget that had an increase of 5 million euros that channeled through the Europa Cinemas network, of course. So this is for members of Europa Cinemas, and and then now for the festivals scheme, for instance, you have before festivals had this constraint that to make one film, you need one feature film, you needed 4 short films, and now every film is a film. So this is also to help the festivals, address this the financial difficulties they may have in acquiring films for the festival. So there's a lot of there's some examples that what media. This is not exhaustive, but this is what came up on the top of my mind regarding what was done in media regarding the pandemic. We were affected, of course. The problem was this actually answers the second part of the question. The first part of the question is, was it affected? Yes, it was affected, and the first effect was we are so late in launching the calls, and this is a problem. But we are now a bit over our time. We still have a question here. Can a new registered company apply, or it should be a company with a history? You heard as my colleague said, you need to have a track record to be able to apply for development. So, and there is in the call, I can't remember which, maybe Silvia and Martina, you can help me. I can't remember how many months of legal establishment is demanded for the companies to participate, but you need to have a track record. So if you're a newly registered company, you won't have that track record. So I think we have answered all the questions we have here in the chat, in the Q&A, and we are 10 minutes over our time. So unless Martina and Silvia, you want to add something or say just some final words to our audience?
Just thank you. Thank you very much for your participation. I think someone asked last question where we can find information about training activities. I think in every website of our media offices, you might find the link to the EACEA catalog. On our website, we also have a description of a short description of each activities. But yeah, I think you can find easily in every desk website. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Yes, I would also like to thank Susana, above all, for making this happen, and for the participants who stayed with us and didn't pass out with all the information that usually happens. And yes, we remain also, you saw our emails, and please also contact your local desk, and we are here to help you out to get the money. Thank you.
Yes, we are here to help you go through the, as we say in Portuguese, the Brussels language of the program. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my colleagues, my wonderful colleagues that make a big effort to join us in this event. Thank you to FEST, and hope to see you all very soon in our offices, in our emails, and take care. Thank you.